What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of Better Call Saul, Season 3, Episode 8, titled Slip. And yes, Slippin' Jimmy is back in full effect. All right, so we have another show this year that is just delivering on all cylinders, pretty much every episode. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and list all the shows, but check out my channel, and it's like almost everything I'm watching right now is just blowing my mind. I am in TV heaven. Okay, Better Call Saul, Season 3, Episode 8, Slip. Let's go through the synopsis real quick. Jimmy is pushed to desperate measures. Nacho picks up a skill, and Mike explores an alliance. Kim stands up to Hamlin. All right, let's go through this. Try and get it done as quick as I can. First, let's talk about Jimmy. Since it was probably my second favorite part of the episode. We have Jimmy is pushed to desperate measures. So basically, those desperate measures are slipping Jimmy tactics to its umpteenth degree. The opening scene was Jimmy and his partner. His name escapes my mind right now. The heavyset dude. And they're kind of explaining the coin trick and how Jimmy's so good at the coin trick that they do because he has knowledge of rare coins. So he uses that knowledge to take advantage of people, making them think the coins are worth more than they really are. And he even has a stash of like rare coins from his parents' old shop, which got shut down because of Jimmy. They mention all this, I believe, in season 2. Maybe even this season was when they mentioned how it was Jimmy's fault the parents lost the shop. I don't remember. I think it is this season in the very beginning. All right, so basically, while Jimmy's trying to sell commercials, the two twin brothers, they're like comedians. I've seen them before and other stuff. They basically like, what do we need you for? And they try and weasel Jimmy out of the deal. And, well, Jimmy finds a way to be slipping Jimmy, literally again, and slips on the floor for real, really hurting himself, in order to get them to cough up some change. And he gets, according to Jimmy, he gets money, and he gets a signed guitar from them. So he really rakes them over the head, because I'm sure he paid his film crew also, you know. And now if you remember from season 1, when he's telling the twins, the skateboard twins, he's telling them all about how this character Slippin' Jimmy, which is really him, right? And we would find the coldest days in Chicago, and Chicago gets hella cold, right? And he'd look for a nice slippery spot on the sidewalk, and then boom, he'd go down. And he even says, and you got to go down for real. And that's just brilliant comment stuff. If you got to hurt yourself to get that bread, then you got to hurt yourself to get that bread. It is what it is. And so we actually get Slippin' Jimmy back. Figuratively, literally, everything, right? The name of the episode is even Slip, because Jimmy slips back into Slippin' Jimmy by slipping on the floor, right? Crazy. I just love the writing and how creative they are with the titles and all that stuff. Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould have to be two of the best writers working today, and that includes in Hollywood. I'm sorry. All right, so Jimmy continues this, and he does it again at the work site for his community service. He doesn't do the slip and fall thing, but he uses the back injury, plus with his Jimmy skills, and not only weasels out a way for him to get his hours and sit down for the day, lay down for the day, but he also gets a drug dealer off for $700, makes a quick $700, and you could tell by his face that Jimmy is, I know I've said this before, by the facial and the acting and the things that Jimmy's doing, and I'm always wrong, okay? But I really truly believe this time it's no turning back for Jimmy. He's in the mindset now that this is how I gotta survive right now. I can't perform law. Maybe he feels that in his head, once he gets his license back to perform law, he'll drop Slippin' Jimmy again. Maybe that's what's going on in his head, but I totally think right now he's all Slippin' Jimmy, and he's definitely closer on that road to Saul Goodman at this point. So that's really what we get from Jimmy this episode. Loved it. Great stuff. I'm sure I'm not the only one. As a community, a fan community that watches Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, we're all waiting for Jimmy to get to that point of Saul. We just don't know how he's going to get there. And we all keep trying to guess. And we're all always wrong. You know, it's like the way they're inching him towards Saul, and they really are inching him. It's becoming more and more clear, though, how it's taking shape. And I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, let's move on. Nacho picks up a skill. Now, I was right about this one, too, where I said the skill in my predictions. I was right about Jimmy. I was right about Nacho. But I was wrong, as usual, about Mike. And I was wrong about Kim. We'll get to them in a minute. But the Nacho scenes were my favorite scenes of the episode. Not only do they I love when shows take their time to pace things out. You don't need dialogue. You let the actions, the acting, and what's going on screen, everything, combined, the setting, all of it, you let it tell the story. I love that, and they did that. Now, I do feel that the Nacho, where he's crushing everything up and putting everything together, those scenes were really good to me, but I think it could have benefited from either having a scene earlier, either in an earlier episode or in the before that scene in this episode, or maybe a voiceover of a certain character teaching Nacho how to do this. Because the thing with Breaking Bad was this is a Walter White moment for Nacho. And the thing with Walt and Breaking Bad was he would always explain it or show you how it worked. You would or how he learned it or whatever, and it would help it make more believable in your head, right? Because of the fact that Walt is explaining to you how this works, okay, or how he knows it works. And this scene would have benefited from having maybe that nerdy guy, that the pill dealer, maybe have him be the one to teach Nacho. That would have been a lot of fun. Or even just his voiceover would have been fun. Like a quick scene of them two, and then it fades into Nacho doing it, and then the voiceover of the guy explaining how to do it. That to me would have made it a little bit more. But I loved it. It was good writing and everything. But I think the average fan would have benefited from having it explained to us how Nacho has this skill. Right? And the way it is in the synopsis that he picks up a skill, it leads you to believe that he's learning how to do it. But I guess the skill that he's actually picking up, right, is learning how to cuff the bottle, how to drop it in the pocket, and all that. And that scene in the restaurant was just fantastic. The whole way it was plotted out was so Walter White, with the air conditioning, to get Hector hot, to take off the jacket. Amazing stuff, okay? And like I said, totally Walter White. I love that. And then that scene was so tense, not just because it's hot and he's sweating, but the acting from Michael Mondo, who was fantastic in this episode. If you watch his hands as he's putting the pills in the bottle and all that, they're shaking. And it's amazing to me because that takes real acting and that takes real good directing and show running, because you have to actually know something about doing something you're not supposed to be doing in the confounds of a place where you could get caught in time constraints and trying to be quiet and all of that. And it's very nerve-wracking for the human, whether you're an expert criminal or a novice or an amateur, So kudos to that. I love that whole scene. It had me on the edge of my seat. I was sweating right along with Nacho. It was all believable to me. I loved how he got it in the pocket, how he was practicing getting in the pocket. All that stuff was really, really good. If I had 4 thumbs, I'd give 4 thumbs up to that scene and all the performances involved. Then let's move on now. That was my favorite part of the episode. Then we have Mike exposing the alliance. Now, I was wrong with my predictions. I thought that it was going to be code. That alliance was going to be his relationship with that woman. But obviously not. It's about him and Gus, because he finally makes a deal with Gus to help him launder his $200,000, which I think is going to be done through Madrigal, which is the company that's introduced in season 5 of Breaking Bad. Lydia works for them. They're in business with Gus, and the worldwide distribution and all that stuff. Walt gets involved with them also. I think that's the company they're going to use to help Mike launder out his cash. Now, help me out in the comments if you can. I didn't understand what was going on with the digging of the holes. What was he looking for? Was he looking for that body? Because it seemed like it, because as soon as he found the body, he went to go make the call. And did Gus put him up to that? Is that part of Gus and Mike's plan to take down Hector? I don't really know. I'm really excited to see. If I missed something and you guys have more insight into what was going on with Mike and Gus's storyline in this episode, like I understood the money laundering, but the whole digging up stuff, I didn't really get that. And also kudos to the cinematography for putting the camera. Breaking Bad used to do stuff like this all the time. Putting the camera on the metal detector. Oh, just such a good job. So good. So that's really all I got to say about Mike. You know, I always like to see Mike, even if it's only for a brief moment. But I'm really confused about what was going on in his story. Please help shed some light for me in the comments. All right, and finally, not finally, we got 2 more left. Kim stands up to Hamlin. Now, I was wrong about this one, too. I thought Kim was going to be standing up for Jimmy. But nope, she's standing up for herself. And she does it in a gangster way. Howard comes over, interrupts her lunch. So she writes out a check, goes over, interrupts Howard's lunch, sticks the check in his face and all that. I loved it. It was done beautifully. Kim really kept it gangster. But then I think she made a fatal mistake by taking on that extra case. Now, maybe her plans are to get Jimmy involved to help out so that all the work isn't on her. But that's risky because knowing Jimmy right now and slipping Jimmy mind, he may do something not so ethical. And end up getting Kim in trouble. Who knows? But I still think Kim and Mesa Verde are doomed. So we see they made it a point to show us all through this season that Mesa Verde is almost too much for Kim to handle. She's really, really busy. Every time we see her, she's either working hard, staying up late, rushing to get to meetings, rushing to wake up late in the morning and all that. Piles of stuff on her desk. And she just generally seems stressed out and, really, really under pressure. So for her to take on this extra case, to me, may be a very bad move for her as a character. Hey, it could work out great, but I think it's really going to turn around to bite her in the ass one way or another, whether she gets Jimmy to help or whether it's just too much work for her to do it all on her own. I don't really know, but I'm really excited to see where that goes. And I just love Howard because one minute you don't like him, the next minute you're like, all right, maybe he's an okay guy. Then the next minute you don't like him again, and then maybe he's an okay guy. And the actor, he just does such a great job. What is that actor's name? That actor's name is Patrick Fabian. He does such a good job of that tug of war, the push and pull between liking and disliking. Is he good or is he bad? Love it. And then finally, this isn't mentioned in the synopsis, but I got to talk about it because we got a good amount of it, of Chuck. So we find out that Chuck's been corresponding with the same doctor that tried to help him out. I think it was in season 1, maybe 2. No, I think season 1. And we understand now that Chuck knows that it's all in his head and it's not a physical condition. And with the help of that doctor and Chuck being who he is and coming to this realization and feeling so embarrassed on what Jimmy put him through, he feels like he can overcome this because it's all in his head. But we later see when he's in the supermarket that it's not that easy. He's got to constantly calm himself down by saying what things are and what color they are. And when he gets to the frozen food aisle with all the electricity, he's really, really in pain. And we never get to see if he makes it to get to the soy milk because they cut the scene there. And then the next time we see him, he's walking back home and comes across Howard. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out. I'm going to talk about all of my predictions, of course, in another video. I don't want to bog this one down with my thoughts on what I think is going to happen. But Michael McKean, always fantastic. Everyone on this show is just great. The writers, the directors, the actors, whoever's in charge of the camera, the cinematography, the editing, it's all fantastic. This show is, like I said, a 4 thumbs up show, just like Fargo. It's up there in some of the best stuff I've ever seen in my life. All right. That's it for this one. I really enjoyed the episode. I'm going to stop giving it ratings on, whatever. I'm just going to basically say whether or not I really liked it. It was okay, or I didn't like it at all. And I really like this one. This is one of the better episodes of the season, and this was a strong season. I liked almost every episode this season. Whereas last season there was one or two here and there that were a little slow. Same thing with season one or two here and there were really a little slow. But this season has really picked up the pace a lot. So sound off down below. Let me know what you thought about the episode, or what you think about season 3, or Better Call Saul as a whole, or even Breaking Bad. Chime in down below. I like to talk about this stuff, so I almost always get back to my comments, and I like to get into these discussions, so I can't do that if you don't comment. So shout me out down below. Yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. It's always appreciated. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.